All right, welcome back. This podcast takes tokens. I'm Deric, my brother Ryan. Let's start out with our icebreaker question I left you off on last week, which was, what was the first video game you remember getting for Christmas or even your birthday as a present? Do you remember?
Yeah, well, so yes and no. I thought and thought and thought about this, and there's a couple ones that I know I got early on, but I don't know which one came first. So I just kind of picked one. I mean, I've always had, I remember, I always had an NES, and I had a bunch of games for it, but I don't ever remember how I got all that. I don't remember actually getting it. So, but the one that I remember is I think it was for my birthday, like my 9th or 10th birthday. My mom bought me the original Game Boy, and it came packaged with Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening.
Oh, yes.
And, yeah, I remember
had that one. Yeah.
Playing that a lot. That was a lot of fun. It was a good memory. It was a great birthday present.
I think
I had that thing for several years until it was in an accident. My stepbrother Luke was playing, and he got frustrated with it, and with whatever game he was playing, and he smacked it against his head, and it broke the screen. And now, and now you and I both know that, I know how to repair these things now. I do that on the side. But back then, when I was,
it's just trash.
12 or 13, I didn't know how to do it, and I just threw it away. But I'm like, I wish I would have kept that now. But
that is so weird that you say that. I'm pretty sure I got mine, the same setup, the Game Boy that came with Zelda, I think the year before, whenever I was 14 or 15 for my birthday. And, I was playing it maybe a year or two after that. And I was playing Zelda. I remember specifically playing Zelda against, I think, the Triceratops level. Getting really frustrated with it, and I hit my head on it and busted the screen. That is so weird that happened.
They're fragile.
Yeah. That's so weird that it happened the same way, though. That's so weird.
Yeah. I know Luke wasn't trying to break it.
No,
he was just kind of frustrated. But those screens are pretty fragile.
They are, yeah. Man, that's
what
crazy.
About you?
Yeah, first one was the NES. I remember it pretty well. I think it was 89 or 90. Our Aunt Kathy got, it couldn't have been just from her. I think she got Grandma June and maybe Dad involved to pitch in on it, and got me the NES action set, the one that came with the light gun and the Duck Hunt Mario combo and the two controllers. Yeah. And I remember being at Grandma June's on Christmas and getting that. And that was pretty cool. That was my first one. It was the full system and everything. Yeah. And I think I got I'm sure I got a couple more games, but I don't remember what they were. Yeah. But that was my first one. And I had that for several years until I got the one we're going to talk about today. And but yeah, I remember getting that, and that was probably the most memorable Christmas present I've ever gotten. I can't think of anything else that stands out from that, except for a couple things. We always got Cherry's Jubilee, the what do they call it, Queen Anne's chocolate cherries every year for Christmas from my stepdad's side of the family. My stepdad would give us one every year for Christmas. And I remember one year I got a watch, and it wasn't so much that it was a watch, it was the case that it came in, and it came in this little clear plastic, looked like a rocket ship. It was blue on the bottom and blue on the top.
Oh, it's like a fossil watch?
No, it was just a little digital watch. I mean, it was just some little cheap little watch. Okay. And you could unscrew the top and you slide the whole thing out, and I just remember I thought the case was really cool, and I used it for so many different things. And eventually, I put a bunch of stuff in it, and I buried it in the backyard like a time capsule.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what happened to it. I don't know if it ever got uncovered or if it even is still there, but I'm pretty sure it leaked at some point because, it's just plastic. But
there's no seal on it. Yeah.
But the NES, the action set one, I remember very clearly, And they don't do that anymore. You don't get, I think that was the last game system that came with 2 controllers in the box, out the box, as soon as you're ready to go. Every NES came with 2 controllers.
Yeah, sometimes they'll still do it now occasionally, but it's a special thing. It's not standard,
No, and they don't even come together. It's like they're selling you the system with an extra controller on the side.
Well, and even they used to sell with that or with the Game Boy that I'm they would sell you that, and it would have a game. The system would have a game with it. And now, if they do that, you open up the box and there's no physical game in there. It's just here's the digital code, and you're I kind of like pulling out the game and seeing it and being able to hold it, and.
Oh, by the way, you can't redeem that digital code for 2 months until the game actually comes out.
Yeah.
No pre-downloads or anything.
Yeah.
I'm still a little bitter about Spider-Man 2, but we're gonna. I'll move on.
So I got a physical version of that for Christmas last year.
Well, yeah. Anyways, that was our first games.
Yeah.
As presents, I suppose. And with that, we're going to roll an intro, and we'll be right back.
Yeah, see you then.
Your local video store card.
A comic book in your back pocket.
Games with no tutorials.
Music you had to discover.
And drinking water straight from the hose.
These are the things us millennials remember fondly. We are the Jennings brothers.
Join us after the streetlights come on
as we race our bikes from the top of the hill
right down memory lane.
Exchange those quarters because this podcast takes tokens.
All right. Well, you probably haven't guessed it by now, and I doubt you've guessed it because the title of this show, the subject of this show is very personal to us. It's not any movie. It's not any specific game. We are going back to Christmas. We're going to call it 95 because I can't remember the exact year.
Yep.
But I'm pretty sure it was 95, maybe 96. Family friend of ours, Linda, ran what was called Video Castle up north. And actually, in my research, I couldn't find a trace of Video Castle online. I couldn't find any articles talking about it. I couldn't find any pictures of it. I couldn't find anything that would prove that this place existed, but it did. And it was a chain. There were several of them.
Yeah. It was video stores.
Video stores. Video stores back in the day. And she had, VHSs, and she also rented out some games, a small section of games. And we would go.
And you and I would work there.
That's right. Go and hang out. And we say work, but we can put air quotes on that.
You would do more work. You would work like the cash register.
That's
I
true.
would just go and put the clips on on the movies saying when they were going to be back.
Or dust the shelves.
Yeah.
Put them back in, make sure everything's in alphabetical order. Yeah. But mainly we just hung out and had lunch and kept her company, and that was a lot of fun. It was a good time. We enjoyed it thoroughly. Yep. And at the end of the day, she'd let us take a movie or a game home for the night and then bring it back the next morning before they opened up, and that was awesome. It was who could beat a free video game or a free video store to, the world is your oyster and you're a child like that. Yeah. But, so anyways, eventually she had to shut it down. And, when she did, she not only rented out movies and games, but she also rented out game systems. And so that Christmas, she gifted each of us a game system and a couple of games. And me, you, and our cousin. And I remember that very well. That's probably my second favorite Christmas.
I remember it. Yeah.
Christmas memory, yes.
Yeah.
We were at our cousin Jack's and, aunts and uncles and all that. And, we each opened up a different game system and got a couple different games. I myself got a Super Nintendo with a few games in with it as well. And you got the Sega Genesis with a couple games. Yes.
Yeah. I'd been wanting a Genesis, like at that time. Like I had, I think I must have had my Nintendo then, but I was really like just enthralled with the Sega Genesis. And yeah, I was so excited when I got that.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were, like kids in a candy store. It was great.
Oh yeah.
Took us up to the whole next level. Like I said, I had my Nintendo up to this point. Shortly after this, I took my Nintendo and all my games up to GameStop and traded it in for my $5 or whatever they gave me for it, and got another game. And but I'll talk about that here in a little while. So what we're going to talk about is the 3 games that we had for our respective systems, and our 3 favorite games that we had for those respective systems. So for me, it'll be the 3 games, my 3 favorite games I had for my S.N.E.S. And for Ryan, it'll be his 3 favorite games that he had for his Sega Genesis.
Yep.
That'll be fun. S.N.E.S. I say S.N.E.S., but I hear it called SNES online. What do you say?
SNES.
S.N.E.S. or SNES? I hate SNES.
I call it usually SNES or Super Nintendo. I like calling it Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
But I will, I know a few minutes ago I called it SNES. Like if I'm trying to get through a conversation or say something quickly about it, I'll just say SNES.
You stumble over it less than SNES.
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah. All right. Okay. So, I think it's got to be a regional thing. It's got to be a U.S. thing, calling it the SNES. I think the SNES thing comes from like the UK or London.
Maybe
I hear it a lot more over there.
It sounds like UK, like some slang they would say. Well, speaking of that, so the Genesis, the Sega Genesis, also had a different name. It was the Mega Drive.
That's right.
And I don't remember where the Mega Drive came from, because at least for me, I always remembered it being called, when it was marketed, the Genesis. Yeah. So I don't know if that was a European thing, if it was the Mega Drive over there. Or
maybe they were building on Mastery System, because that's what it was called before. And I've never really dived into the back history on the Sega Genesis, but there was the Sega, and then they had the Sega Mastery System, and then they had the Sega Genesis. But they all play the same games, right?
I think it's kind of like now, where they would just re-release games on the newer systems. So Altered Beast. I remember I knew somebody that had a Sega Master System, and they had Altered Beast on that. But then I think our Aunt Kathy had Altered Beast on Genesis. Yeah. And it may have had a little better, a little more improved graphics or something like that.
So it's their half units were the pros or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
So Sega was doing it first.
Yeah. There's a really good book that is called Console Wars.
Oh.
That is about the conflict, air quotes, between Nintendo and Sega, during the Super Nintendo and Genesis eras, and it goes through, development processes and things like that for both of them, and it's pretty interesting book, and I think Seth Rogen does the foreword on it.
Oh, really?
So yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Interesting. Yeah. All right, so should we dive into our top 3s?
Yeah. Top 3 games for these. Now these are Sorry, my thing, my ring just went off. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. anyway, these are top 3 games that we actually owned at, at the time. So these are not our top 3 games of all time for these systems.
Yeah.
It's just what we've owned. So,
yeah. What we had originally. Because, since then, we've gotten back into retro gaming and discovering new games and, old titles, or maybe there's just games we didn't have. Like, I don't think I had the Legend of Zelda for the Super Nintendo until later, whenever I started retro collecting.
Yep.
Then I finally got a hold of it. But during my initial Super Nintendo days, I didn't have that game. And I don't think I had Super Mario either, if I remember correctly. Those were games that I played over at Aunt Kathy's, but I don't think I had my own versions of them. So these are in no particular order, just 3 of our favorite games from the system, and we'll even throw out an honorable mention for you.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm going to start with the game that I traded in all of my Nintendo points on and got first was NBA Jam. That was a classic game. So much fun. Released in
downtown.
That's right. He's on fire. Released in 1993. Published by Midway and Acclaim. This was so much fun. This was a great couch co-op game. This is a game you had to play with 2 players. This was not as much fun to play 1 player, but this was a fantastic 2-player game. This game actually led to one of my other favorite games, NFL Blitz. By the same creators, they created NBA Jam, and then they were like, hey, how can we do the same thing for football? And then they created NFL Blitz. But NBA Jam is what we're going to focus on, which had several different iterations. There was... NBA Jam was the one I had, but I think there was an NBA Jam Hang Time, and...
So that one, the Hang Time is a newer...
Is that the newer one? Okay.
Yeah, that's the newer one.
Yeah.
I don't want to steal your thunder, so go ahead on the other ones.
No, please, because I don't know them off the top of my head.
The other one that I remember that came out, so anybody... this is one of those games that everybody owned, I feel like. It was either you had it on Super Nintendo or it was also they had it on Genesis.
Yeah.
But everybody but me, I didn't own this game. But my friends, their brothers, Leif and Ian. Ian's been on the show before. They had this on their Super Nintendo and we played it a lot. But yeah, so you had regular NBA Jam, and the one that I believe Leif and Ian had was NBA Jam Tournament Edition.
Tournament Edition, that's what it was.
Yes. And that one had some extra. Remind me on your version of it, because you had the NBA. You had the original NBA Jam.
Yes.
Could you put in passwords and play as there was some celebrities and stuff you could play as? There
were, yeah, but you know what? Honestly, I can't, because I had it on the Super Nintendo at my house. My friend down the street had it on the Sega, but we always hung out at his place most of the time. So we probably played it on the Sega more, but I got it for my Super Nintendo so that we could play it whenever we were over there, and I enjoyed playing it as well. But I know we used codes. I can't remember if that was on his or if it was on mine, but I'm pretty sure he had Tournament Edition and I had the regular.
Okay.
And I think there were little codes you can put in at the selection as well, or maybe it's the name you put in or something like that, and you could unlock the fire mode permanently and some other things like that. I think that was on the Super Nintendo one as well, if I remember correctly.
I think you're right. I don't remember all the extra characters.
It's been a while.
But I remember Will Smith was one of them you could play as.
Yeah, as a Fresh Prince.
And then Bill and Hillary Clinton were on there, believe it or not.
Mid-90s. Yeah, Bill Clinton was very popular.
Yeah. Yep. I remember those. But, and it was 2-on-2 basketball. It was you just played as 2 people. I was always disappointed with the Bulls because they had Scottie Pippen, which is great. They
didn't have Michael Jordan.
They didn't have Michael Jordan, and I'm guessing they just couldn't secure the rights to have MJ on the game or something.
I think no, he wasn't retired at this point.
No.
Maybe in Tournament Edition he was. I don't remember, but I remember the game you always picked was the Hornet, or the team I always picked was the Hornets. Mm-hmm. Charlotte had a good team, I guess, that year, or they were favored for whatever reason. Maybe this Acclaim is out of North Carolina. I don't remember, but the Hornets were my team to pick every time, and they did pretty good. I was pretty happy with them. Yeah. But yeah, Bulls were disappointing for sure.
Yeah, I can't remember who I would play as. But yeah, I definitely remember they had Pippen, and I was okay with Pippen. But I'm like, you got it. Like, Pippen and MJ go together like peanut butter and jelly. You got to have both of them. But there was one, I can't remember who he played for. There was one that had Muggsy Bogues.
Oh, that's right.
He was like, what team was he? But he was, he's a super short basketball player. But he was
like
on
him
that game.
Spud Webb.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But they were good. They were quick. But yeah, shorter.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I want to get the arcade one up that they have for it. Mm-hmm. But I hesitate because all it is NBA Jam. Like, you look at a couple of the other arcade one-ups and they'll have like the Class of 81 edition has the Miss Pac-Man and Galaga and like Mappy and like a bunch of other games. It's got like 15 games on it or something like that. That's fantastic, and it's a good mix of games. And then you look at the NBA Jam one, and it's just got like 3 different versions of NBA Jam. And I'm like, why can y'all include bundle it with NFL Blitz? That would be, I would 100% buy it then.
Yeah.
But like it's just not like I need another game with it. I need something different, at least, or a little bit different, even if it is just like football versus basketball. But I'm like, I'm almost there. I'm about to pull it. I want to pull the trigger on it, but it's just not like I need another game in there.
Either add a new game or give it to me on sale.
That's right. Yeah, maybe on sale. Maybe on sale.
Yeah.
So, anyways, your number 3. You want to start us off?
Yeah. So my number 3 again. Mine was the Sega Genesis that I got. Came out this game came out on November 22nd, 1995. Believe it or not, I played this game a ton. The Toy Story game.
Oh, yeah, that was a fun one.
Oh, excellent platformer. Excellent. Yeah. And this is like the time when Disney was making just stellar
Lion
platformer
King,
games.
Aladdin,
oh my
Chip
gosh.
and Dale.
I remember DuckTales.
DuckTales, yes.
Even like for Game Boy Color around this time. Well, Game Boy Color came out a little bit later, but like they did one for A Bug's Life that was really good. Huh. And they had just great Beauty and the Beast. Like that was fun, This Toy Story game, it was fun to play, and it almost looked 3D. Like the way that they had modeled the sprites looked almost like the movie, as good as a video game could, process that at the time.
Were they using the Super FX chip on that one?
I don't remember.
It's a Sega, not Super Nintendo. Sorry.
Yeah. No, the NES. Well, I don't think they were, because it was still clearly sprites, but it was the way that they had shaded them made it look very much like the movie. And I mean, you playing this game and you're literally playing through the movie. Like I remember being in the claw machine and it's trying to like pull Buzz up, and you're having to use your lasso as Woody, because you played through Woody throughout the game, and you're having to like launch the aliens up in the air to knock down Buzz off the claw. Yeah. And then when you're at Sid's house, you're on the skateboard with the guy that's got the helmet, and he's moving the skateboard with his arms, and the dog's chasing you, and it was a lot of fun. I put a lot of hours into that game.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, they released the that collection on Switch and everything for the Disney Classics game collection?
Yeah.
And they had Aladdin and Lion King. And there was another one. I can't remember the other one. I'm
I think they had
surprised they
some of
didn't
like the
include that.
Mickey's like illusion games or something like that. Because those Mickey games were even really good back then.
Those are pretty good.
Gosh, they were killing it. And then they had the Goof Troop game that was on Super Nintendo.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you ever played that. That was like a puzzle game. Oh,
Yeah.
man. Disney, give us these kinds of games again. Because now it's just like they're giving you games that are like you're just simulating walking through like Disney World or something.
Yeah. That's not as much fun.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's my number 3. I really enjoyed it. I think Dad probably got me that game. I don't remember where it came from, but I'm assuming like he got me that.
Oh yeah.
But,
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I remember that one too. That was. I probably played yours, if I remember
I'm sure.
correctly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I
'cause
remember we would set up in your room, and we'd hook up both of the systems and just sit there and like, especially whenever we both had that Super Nintendo and the Sega. Man, that was that summer. That was all we
great.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I remember the times. Yeah. So, yeah. Any final thoughts on Toy Story game?
No, it was just a fun game. It was a really fun platformer that I put a lot of time into, and I played through it to completion multiple times. It honestly may be one of the first games that I ever actually finished.
Really?
I'd say, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, with that, then I guess I'll get to my number 2. Super Black Bass. Not really any way to talk about it.
Yeah.
This is one that I got with my system, and I didn't think much of it. But then I sat down and I started playing it. Oh my God, this game was so much fun.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not just going out and fishing. Like, you're on a lake during a tournament, and you have to like, you have like, I think 24 hours. And so you have to go around the lake and find the spots where there are fish. And you got like you drive your boat around the lake, and you got like a little fish finder thing going off. And it's also like what time of day it is, and like where are the fish going to be and everything. And they got like little tips and stuff that you can go in and read and learn about the fish in the area. And so I guess it's kind of like a puzzle game in that respect. And so I would drive around, and I kind of got to where I learned where I needed to go, and I'd hit the same spots over and over again and just cast a line out there, and you can kind of learn what lure works on what fish and what color they like and all this other stuff. And you catch a fish and start reeling it in, and sometimes they'd fight back. Well, they'd always fight back, but you got to kind of like fight with them, and you don't want to fight too hard because your line will snap, and but you got to fight them, otherwise they get away. And that was just a lot. It was one of those games. I don't know. I think this is one of the first games that I ever discovered that I liked to just kind of casually play, to sit back and just relax and play by myself. This was a solo game, and it was a chill out game for me, and I loved that for it. And I played it all the time. This is one of my favorite games. It was released in 1992. It was published by Hot Bee, who I don't think I've ever seen release anything but fishing games.
Probably not. Yeah.
But yeah, this one was a lot of fun. Super Black Bass. I actually found Black Bass on the NES probably about a year ago at a flea market or something, wherever I was at, and went ahead and picked it up because I was like, oh, I really liked Super Black Bass. Let me try the original on the NES. And so I got it, and I just haven't gotten to play it yet. It would be really exciting if I came on here and I was like, oh yeah, and it sucked, or it was great, or whatever. But it's sitting in my collection along with probably a dozen other games that I've bought and haven't played yet because I'm a collector more than I'm a player.
Yeah. You collect it for the memories.
Yes.
And you're like, I remember playing that. Or
I'm going to play this.
In this case, I feel nostalgic about that game, about the NES version, even though I haven't played it.
Yeah.
Will I play it when I'm retired?
plan to. I plan to.
Yeah.
This is the trappings of every millennial dad.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember this game. Aunt Kathy had this game, and I would play it
Oh, yeah.
when I'd go over to her house. And yeah, it was just I never did figure out. I didn't play it enough to figure out how the lure system and everything works on it. But I remember, getting on there and just chilling for half hour, 45 minutes, and casting out lines and trying to catch these bass and everything. And I
Only
that
bass
was kind
counted.
of. What's that?
I said an only bass counted. I think if I
Yeah,
remember,
they did.
I only ever played I think if you beat the tournament, you could go into different lakes and play different levels.
that's
I think
right.
I only ever had the patience to play the first lake.
The first tournament, yeah, because there was no. I mean, these games didn't have a save system in them,
No.
and there was no password system. I don't think for this.
Some
game.
of them
It
had
was
a
just
password
kinda-
system, but yeah, I don't think this one did.
Yeah,
don't- I think it did. No.
I need to look because I actually own this game now.
Oh.
It's like you, it's in my collection. But yeah, I haven't played it. I actually got it. One of the ladies I work with, she knows I'm into video games and repairing systems and games and stuff like that. And her husband was just dumping some stuff,
man.
and she just brought me in a big plastic sack of. She's like, he's getting rid of all these games. I just thought I'd give them to you. And Black Bass was in there, Super Black Bass. I'm like, oh,
Man.
okay, yeah. So,
Lucky you.
yep, it's on the shelf. I just
Yeah.
haven't gotten around to playing it yet, but I definitely want to.
Like I say, as much fun as I had playing it, I have not sat down and played another fishing game, even a modern one. I don't really have a desire to. I'll be curious, I guess, but yeah, never played one.
I've played fishing mini games,
Yeah,
within a
minigames,
game,
yeah, within a game,
whatever.
yeah. Zelda, yeah,
Yeah.
that was.
But
amazing.
speaking of this, did you know? This is kind of a side note, but and I may have mentioned this on the show before. I don't remember, or maybe just in a private conversation you and I had. But years ago, and I think it was only released in Japan. Nintendo released a peripheral thing to attach to the original Game Boy that you could use to fish with.
Really?
And you would drop. It had a sensor that would plug into the Game Boy, into the cartridge, and you would drop it in the
a fish
lake.
finder.
Yeah, and it would blip up on your screen if there was fish.
Huh.
And there's a guy, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned him on here before. He's on YouTube. He does he's a gaming historian, and he's actually doesn't live too far from my area, and he did a whole episode on that, and he took it out to Smithville Lake by Kansas City, and he tried it out, and it worked.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I didn't know that. That's fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah. But
What's your
it's
number
not
two?
Super Black Bass, but
No, it's super black and green bass.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, my number 2
All right.
was the original Mortal Kombat, released October 8th, 1992. Now, I don't know, that may have been the arcade release date.
Yeah, that's kind of tricky. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's another
yeah.
one where they had multiple releases and different
They did.
versions, and yeah.
And I had the Sega version, obviously, so I actually had the version that showed blood. If you had the Super Nintendo version, it was just green blood.
I had the Super Nintendo version. It did not.
yeah.
Yep, it was just
Yeah.
green. It was weird.
Yep. Yeah. Now, I'm curious, were the fatalities toned down in the Super Nintendo version? Do you remember?
I think they were the same, but I think, like you
Were
said,
they?
it was
Okay.
just green blood. I
Green blood.
think if
yeah.
I remember correctly, there was one where somebody ripped somebody's spine out and was holding up their skull, and I think that one may have got changed.
Okay.
I don't remember. Because,
Yeah.
I had it, but I didn't play it that much because it just wasn't as cool. You gotta have the one
Yeah.
with the blood. So, we
Oh,
would
yeah.
always play the Sega version over at my friend's house.
Yep.
So,
I remember going through this. I'd play it with friends, but I would play it by myself a lot.
Yeah.
And I'd go through the tournament, and
That's how you get good.
I got to like Goro, I think, is as far as I could ever get. And then there was like, I think Shang Tsung was after that or something.
Yeah.
Maybe I could get to Shang Tsung, but I could never beat him. But I had a friend, which I'm sure a lot of the listeners had this friend too, but at school, he like wrote down the fatality list for me of all the fatalities. So I had the codes of all the fatalities. And I remember like, it'd be a rainy Saturday or something. I'd be playing and be like, I want to see what Raiden's fatalities are, and I would do that. And they even had like the environmental fatalities. So they had that one where you were fighting on a bridge and you could uppercut somebody and they'd fall all the way down to the pit. Yeah. It was a lot of fun doing that, and I don't know if I don't know. I feel like that game is pretty mild compared to games now.
Absolutely. So, like there was a lot of panic over nothing.
Yeah.
This was one of those games that was very controversial at the time, but now people look at it and they're like, "Meh, whatever."
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun too. I remember playing that one a lot in the arcade as well. Spending a lot of quarters on it. I didn't have the friend. I had I don't remember if it was Game Informer or GameSpot or one of those magazines, and it had all those, and it was like they did like an article on Mortal Kombat, and they had all the moves and the specialties and everything like that. And I remember over the years, like we would get those because like I think like the third one, they had not only like the fatalities, but they also had like the animalities and then like the friendship things and the babyalities. And, like, they added so many different things to it. The third one was nuts, but it was a lot of fun. Like I said, I had it on the Super Nintendo as well. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was a good one. Yeah,
it was a good game. It was really good. It was. Now I can't play them now. Like I've tried, and I am so bad at modern fighting games.
There's too many.
Mindy and the kids.
The chains are too long.
Oh, they are.
I can't process that.
Mindy and the kids got me Street Fighter 6, the new one, or 7. What it was 6. They got me 6 for Christmas last year, and like. I tried playing it and I'm like, I can't remember these I got to remember like 50 different button combinations just to punch somebody. Like I can't do it. And they had like a basic, you could change the settings to like basic controls or something, but it just wasn't, I don't know. So I ended up selling that game, but
it's the elder
I
rarely
settings. Sell anything, but I did sell that one. But what did you ask?
I said they have an elder millennial setting.
Yeah, they should. Yeah. I don't know. I want fighting games or something like I would love to be able to get back into because it seems like a lot of fun watching people like online play them or talk about how much fun they have with them. In like Street Fighter 6 looks great. Just I can't do it. I just can't do it. I can't. This one was like you.
The last one I got into was Injustice. They did with DC.
That one was fun.
That was a lot of fun, and it was simple. It wasn't that complicated. I love playing that one. And now they have like an arcade, or they've had an arcade for a few years now, I guess. But yeah, you can go to like we go to Dave & Buster's every once in a while, and they'll have an arcade set up there, and you can play it. And after you get done playing, it'll give you a little card of one of the characters, and then the next time you go to play, you scan that card and you can add that character to your roster, so you can collect up all these. Like I have like a little stack of cards, and now whenever I go play, I have like my favorite characters that I can play with. And it's a lot of fun. I enjoy that.
That's
one.
Cool.
And, they did a sequel to it, and the sequel wasn't as good. I think they tried too much with it, but that first one was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
It was. Yep, I enjoyed it. I played a little bit of the second one. But I was like you. I was like, this is okay. But it's not. I think the first one had like a really good story with it too, I thought. And like they actually even ended up making like a comic series about that story. They continued it. Yeah.
And they had like the mobile game that tied in with it as well. So you could play the mobile game and unlock things in the console game and vice versa. That was really, I got really into that one for about a year or so. And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that one. Yeah. But it all goes back to the original Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. Made by Midway. Another Midway game.
Yeah, Midway was on a hot streak. They had a lot of good ones back in the day. Yeah. So that brings me to my third one, which ties in nicely. I did not...
your third or your honorable mention?
My... I'm going to go third one. I'll do my honorable mention later. Because my third one ties in. Okay. My third one, like I said, I had Mortal Kombat for the Super Nintendo. But I did not pick Mortal Kombat because of the blood thing.
The green
blood. I didn't play it that much. And I didn't like that Nintendo exerted so much control over that.
Yeah.
But, here we are. So my third one is Street Fighter 2, which was another game that I got with the system whenever I got it. Originally released for the Super Nintendo in 1992, Christmas of 92, December of 92, published by Capcom. This game has a bit of a history, like the NBA Jam series, where there are multiple versions. Like there's the Super Street Fighter 2, there's Street Fighter 2 Turbo or Alpha, or I don't know. There's multiple versions of it, and it was originally
more than multiple.
And there was originally an arcade, and then multiple versions of the arcade. Yeah. The arcade was released, I think, in 89 or 90, like something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
But this one was like, I had a lot of fun. This was one, like you said, I would sit down by myself and play this one and play through the tournament modes and work my way through the ranks and everything. Can never beat that in Bison, but, had a lot of fun trying.
Yeah.
They didn't have fatalities. They didn't have any kind of finishing. Yeah, because as soon as you beat the level, you were just like, your guy did a celebration pose, or your girl.
Yeah. Which those were always fun. Those were always fun. Chun-Li's was the best. She'd just really cutely jump up and but you would get, what I did like is you would deliver the final blow. Yeah. And then you would hear the
and go slow motion.
Yeah.
Yes. They really they emphasized it and played it up for sure. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I love that. But they did have that one level where you could beat up the car for whatever reason. And it was just kind of like a nothing level. It was just kind of to fill time, I guess, to give you a little bit of a rest or something. I don't know. But yeah, this Street Fighter 2, always had a lot of fun with this one. They did a Sega version of this, didn't they?
They did. Yeah. They did. I never played it, but they did do a Sega version of it. But I always played. I have this on Super Nintendo, Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
It's, oh my gosh, it is really good.
Yeah.
Who was your go-to, if you played with friends, who are you usually picking?
As one of two. So if I was feeling particularly feisty and just wanted to win, I went with Baraka and just mash that button and put up the electric field, and nobody could touch me. I'd win every time. Yeah. But if I was feeling competitive and I wanted to actually play the game, then Gayu, what's his name? The guy with the flat top. I can't remember his name now.
Guile.
Yeah.
Guile was good.
Yeah. So I'd always go with him. Yeah. I think it was the flat top. It was the early 90s. Flat tops were in. I had one for a hot minute.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I think there's a picture of you, me, and Dad. We all three have a flat top in that picture.
Dad, too?
I think he did, yeah. I think he did.
All right. I got to see that one.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I always went with, I'm like you, I guess. If I wanted to be cheap, I would go with E Honda, and I would just do his his
the
chopping
fire move. Oh, that one.
Or I guess you could do that with Chun-Li too, but with her leg. But yeah, if I was feeling competitive, it was usually Ryu that I would play as. Yeah, because I just liked his Shoryuken, and I knew how to do that move, and
Yeah. You're talking about Mortal Kombat. It was definitely, that's the divide. If you had a Sega, you had Mortal Kombat. And if you had a Super Nintendo, you had Street Fighter 2.
Yep.
And you were in one of those two camps.
Yeah.
Firmly.
Yep. I had a friend, Dave, and he was like hardcore into Street Fighter. Like he owned all the animes for it. Like anytime a new Street Fighter game would come out, like it'd be pre-ordered, and he was like way into Street Fighter. I think he had like some of the mangas and stuff like that for it. Like he knew the story inside and out and everything for it. He's really good at it. You didn't want to play him because it was just like
he just wiped the floor with you.
Dave, I just want to have fun. I don't want to. Yeah. That, I lost my thought. I had a thought on it, and I lost it for Street Fighter. But
that's right.
Yeah, it was good. It was a really good game. It was definitely. I mean, it's still good today playing that. Yeah. And I think this like Mortal Kombat, like I don't feel like it holds up as well today because of the visuals on it. Okay. I feel like you play it and you're like, oh, this is kind of dated. Although it was neat how they did that back then. You know, they just took a lot of pictures of these real people, and but Street Fighter 2 still holds up today. Like it still looks good when you're playing it. You know,
it looks of the era.
It does. It does.
It looks like it, but it fits better.
Yeah.
But I think the Mortal Kombat had better move sets. Like the characters were a little more, like each character was had a little bit more separation, a little more personality. I always liked the Mortal Kombat characters more, I should say. And I felt like their move sets were a little broader, had a little bit more to them. Like they all kind of had something that they could like throw out there, and different ways of attacking that felt more, that gave more depth, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
I remember what I was going to say real quick. Sorry. Have you seen like that meme out there where it's like somebody's getting out of that car from that car level and they're like, oh, this seems like a safe place to park. And they come back and the car is just completely destroyed. What happened to my car?
No. I'll have to look that one up. I haven't seen it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What's your number 3?
Yeah, my number 3. So it's Sonic 3D Blast.
Ooh.
Came out November 5th, 1996. I believe in 97 I got this game. I remember getting it for Christmas. And so this game was not the best Sonic game. I really enjoyed it, but like it didn't have... Anytime you put Sonic in a 3D environment, I think this is like why Sonic just has trouble today, unless it's like Sonic Mania or Origins or something I think it was Origins, where they're putting him back in a 2D environment. The 3D environments, you just can't get the speed like you have in the 2D ones.
Too much.
Yeah, and it's hard to translate the speed in a 3D environment when you've got so many other directions you can go as opposed to just going, left and right.
Yeah.
But I played this game probably more than anything because I wanted it so bad. Like this, I remember seeing it advertised. I remember like seeing it in magazines, and I really wanted it. And I remember that Dad got me this for Christmas, and I think it was like now looking back on it, I think I have such a fond memory of it because like usually like when Dad would get me games or something, it was just kind of like bargain bin games, or whatever. And this one like was something that I really wanted, and he actually went ahead and spent probably the $60 or $70 for a game for Christmas, to get me this game, and I just adored it. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't really 3D. It was like isometric, but it had like full motion video in the beginning. of it, which was incredible for a cartridge game, because this game originally released on Sega Saturn, and then they ended up like making a port to but oh my gosh, I really did you ever play this one at the house?
Probably. I'm 99% sure I have it here. But yeah, the Sega games, they all or the Sonic games, they all for the Sega all kind of blend together for me. I don't remember what I mean, other than like the Green Hill Zone in the first one. Nothing stands out, and I didn't really play them that much. That or Sonic Pinball, I played a lot.
Oh yeah,
that was the only other one that I played a lot of. But yeah, the other ones I never really got into the Sonic series. The first one was fun. I loved it, played it. But after that, it felt a little derivative, like kind of the same thing over and over again. Until Pinball. Pinball was different for me. But yeah, like I had the Super Nintendo, so I didn't spend a lot of time playing Sonic.
Yeah, you weren't really Sonic. You weren't playing Sonic on the Super Nintendo. So. But I don't know. This game was. I remember like I fired it up, and I'm like, oh my gosh! Like there's an actual video in the beginning of this, and then you're playing it, and you're like able to move, and it seemed like so many different directions, and you would jump into like a hole, and you'd pop up in a different part of the level, like, and it wasn't just like you're moving left and right. You know, you're like going everywhere, and you're the enemies are in 3D-ish, you know, and I don't know. I played this. There was probably a good couple months, I bet, where I played this every single day.
Really?
I never finished it. I could never finish it because it didn't. This is one of those games that didn't have a password system. When you ran out of lives,
you were out of lives.
Guess what, buddy? You're starting at the beginning again. Yeah. And I would play it until I ran out of lives, and then I'd be like, "Okay, I'm done for the day." You know,
and I'm gonna play something else.
Yeah, but the next day, I'd pick it back up. I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna beat this game this time," and I never did end up beating it. But I still play it. I don't own it now because I don't know what happened to my Sega. I know I didn't sell it. I'm like just hoping that I find it sometime. I just don't know where it's at. Yeah.
Under a pillow somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. But I know I've got this game somewhere if I could ever find it. But Sonic 3D Blast. That was my favorite game that I owned for Sega Genesis.
Absolute favorite, or just one of the top three?
My absolute favorite that I owned at the time. Is it my absolute favorite game now? No, it's not.
No,
But at the time, that was my favorite. And I think it was because I wanted it so bad, and I had all this hype for it, and then I got it for Christmas. And you know, when you get something that you're really wanting for Christmas, it's like, oh my gosh, you know. And so I think it was just a combination of all that.
That would do it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, the video in the game, I think the Aerosmith game had a little video at the beginning of it too on the Sega. Like a Steve Tyler or something came out and said something, or maybe it was them going backstage. I don't remember exactly. But I'm pretty sure it had video on the front of it too. There was a couple of them back then that did that.
Yeah.
That was a fun thing.
Night Trap was like the big one.
Yeah. A little problematic, but yeah.
Yeah, had all the FMV and everything. Yeah. I think that in Mortal Kombat not single-handedly, but that in Mortal Kombat caused the mature rating that we have now in games.
Yeah. Well, all right.
So what's your honorable mention?
Yeah, honorable mentions. Let's go there. You know what? I'm gonna end my list with my honorable mention. But first, I didn't have that many games for my Super Nintendo. I think I had the games I listed already, and Super Mario Kart, Super Off-Road, RoboCop vs. Terminator, which were a lot of fun. I enjoyed them thoroughly. Super Mario Kart did not make the cut. It was close, but it did not. It's not my honorable mention either.
Okay, I'm logging off right now.
Only because I enjoyed like the more recent ones so much
Yeah.
more that it
Yeah.
just that last one and I didn't play it that much back then. I don't even know if I actually had it. Maybe I remember playing it more at Aunt Kathy's and actually owning it, but I seem to remember owning it. It's hard to remember exactly. But anyway, so yeah, Super Mario Kart, Super Off-Road, RoboCop versus Terminator were the other ones I owned, and my honorable mention, Maximum Carnage. Spent a lot of time on this game.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this game. Released in 1994, published by Acclaim and LGN of all. This was one of those games this is one of the few games that came in its own cartridge, like a different colored cartridge. The cartridge was red for this game.
Yeah.
For anybody that bought the first round, now they re-released, or later versions of it were in the standard gray case, but gray cart. But I had the red one. I was very proud of that. I was happy that I had the red one. I think this is another one that I got with the system whenever I first got it, if I remember right. Super Mario Kart. I think it was Super Mario Kart, Super Black Bass, Street Fighter, and maybe Maximum Carnage, or maybe that was one of the first games I got. I can't remember which way it went. But yeah, so I had this one. Like I said, it came on that red cart, which just made it even more awesome. The game could have been 10% more crap, and that red cart would have made up for it. I think there were only a couple other games that had this, like Doom. I remember was red. I never had Doom. Doom was red.
But you know what? You know what was different with Doom?
What's that?
The blood was green.
Was it green in there as well?
It was green. Yeah.
Man.
But it did come in a red cart, which was very cool.
It's weird, yeah.
Yeah.
Nintendo had a problem with blood, but
They did.
They
did.
Yeah, and then Killer Instinct came in that black one. And those are the only other ones that I remember that were colored.
yeah.
I don't think there was any more that were colored, which
Yeah.
I fully would have expected them to put the Zelda one out in a gold card. Why did they not do a gold card on a Super Zelda game? I don't know. But they also didn't call it Super Zelda, so.
No.
Yeah, which they called
I think every
Super
other
something.
system. Well, I mean, obviously you've got the ones that are on disc now, but like everything that was cartridge based, except for the Super Nintendo, they released a gold version of the carts.
Oh, I think it was only the first two and the one on the N64.
There's two for N64 that they did. So Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time. You're right. The Legend of Zelda, and then the Adventure of Link. They did it.
They didn't do it for the Game Boy.
Oh, you're right. They didn't do it for the Game Boy.
Yeah.
Okay. They did release a gold disc. The label was gold for the Wind Waker.
Oh, okay.
But I think that was standard for all of. I think they were all gold. The labels were all gold on the disc. But
yeah. This was the first one. I never had Zelda on the Super Nintendo. I think Aunt Kathy had it. I always played it over there because that would have probably been on my top 3 if I had it.
Yeah,
but didn't have it.
It's really good. It's one of my favorite Zelda games. It's really good.
My honorable mention is Maximum Carnage Spider-Man game. That game was a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed that one. It was a side-scroller, beat-em-up type of game. It's kind of like the Ninja Turtle games, back in the day. Scroll over the side. I remember at the end of the first level, you fought like these two. I think they were women with really long hair that would just like whip their hair at you.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Beat them back and forth. Yeah, but it was a fairly easy game to play. I remember it was really cool because the music was by Green Jelly, and it had like a big splash screen at the beginning, and it said like music by Green Jelly. Do you remember Green Jelly at all?
No.
Oh my god,
not at all.
Okay, you got to do yourself a little favor and just look up Green Jelly, Three Little Pigs.
Okay.
It is the most 90s, 80s thing, and it's so much fun. Watch it first, but it might be kid appropriate if I remember correctly, but I'd watch it first because I don't remember exactly.
Okay.
But it's just they're a rock band, and they did Three Little Pigs as a rock song, and it's just a lot of fun. And you got to watch the video because the video is in claymation.
Oh,
and it's just fantastic.
Green jelly.
But yeah, green jelly, Three Little Pigs, so much fun. Do yourself a favor, check it out. Anyways, Maximum Carnage, Red Cart, lots of fun. Spider-Man game. I remember you played as Spider-Man, and then eventually you got to play as Venom. And I think at one point you could tag between the two of them, if I remember correctly. I can't remember exactly. But it's been so long.
Yeah.
I loaded it up, if you will, to play it before this, and I did not get a chance to play it. So I don't have a fresh memory of the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I always enjoyed it. I remember they had this on the Sega as well, and I think the Sega cart was red whenever they released it for Sega as well. I think the cart and maybe even the case, because they had that was the thing the Sega had, was those hard plastic cases. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Those are fantastic. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure the case for it was red as well.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. Maybe it was just a sleeve insert. I don't remember. But yeah, this was another one that was great. And then, this is a thing back then. Every game, I would say 90% of the games had a S.N.E.S. and a Sega Genesis release. Like, it was released across the board. So if you had one system, you pretty much
You're playing
play
almost everything. Yeah.
Maybe a slightly altered version of it. You get the green blood or whatever they decide to do different. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I got to throw out an honorable mention for you.
Okay.
My favorite game on the Sega was always the Jurassic Park game. That was a fun game.
Oh,
it was a great platform.
Yeah.
I always loved playing that one.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's all my Super Nintendos and my one Sega.
Yeah. So my honorable mention for my Sega, I don't remember having a ton of games either.
Yeah.
For my Sega,
because we had to trade in their games to get new ones. Like, you didn't get new ones all the time.
Yeah. So the ones that I mentioned, plus I remember having Pitfall. They had made like a remake of Pitfall. Yeah. That one was pretty fun. I had Real Monsters.
Oh yeah. Based
on the Nickelodeon cartoon. That was another fun platformer. And the only other one that I remember that is my honorable mention that I remember actually owning was Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Oh yeah.
That one was probably, of the side-scrolling Sonics of 1, 2, and 3, that one's my favorite because you've got Tails, and I always loved playing as Tails. I thought he was the coolest character. And like I was saying, the difference between Sonic 3D Blast and this one, like, there's so much speed. Like, Sonic is speed, Sonic and you're just racing through these games at just warp speed, It's so much fun doing that. And yeah, I just thought it was I loved Sonic 2. I loved it. Yeah, that's my honorable mention. Now, as far as Super Nintendo, I think my favorite Super Nintendo game then, and it is still now, is Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
I just love playing. Every time I'd go over to Aunt Kathy's, I would play through it. I had my own, she gave me my own little save file on the cartridge, and I would play through it. And I didn't beat it until into my 20s. I went back and played it, and I finally ended up beating it. But yeah, that was a good Christmas getting those systems.
Yeah, that set us up for a while.
It did. Yeah. Yeah.
Forced our parents to have to buy many more games over the years for Christmas.
Definitely.
It made. I mean, as a parent now, I see this. Oh, that just made the holidays easier because you know what to get them now, instead of having to guess.
Yes.
It felt like getting games back then was like twisting an arm. Like, it was, you had to make a convincing argument to get a game as a gift back then. Now my kids are like, I want this game. And I'm like, let's go get it right now. We're not waiting for Christmas.
I know.
I have adult money. We're going to get it right now.
Yes. That was Harper. Harper was really, because she had a teacher a couple years ago when she was in first grade. And she was really into Animal Crossing for Switch.
Oh, yeah.
And Harper really wanted to play it because her teacher played it. And I was like, this will be fun for her. Let's just go to the store and pick it up. And we got it, and we came home, we played it, and she played it for like a couple hours, and then she's just like, I don't get it. So we had fun for a couple hours, and there it sits, and I thought, well, I'm going to get on there and try playing it, but I've never gotten around to do it.
Yeah,
because I just have to, with that game, like, you have to like get
that's
on
a time investment
every day, and I'm like, I don't have time to do that.
Yeah, I remember that one. We got everybody in the house got a Switch that year, and we all got, well, like, not everybody got I already had a Switch. Bruce had a Switch. I got Taylor a Switch, and then I got Allison a Switch because she really got into Animal Crossing as well. And so everybody had a copy of Animal Crossing. Well, we had 3 copies of Animal Crossing because I didn't play Animal Crossing. But man, for like 6 months, Animal Crossing ruled the house, and they were all about that Animal Crossing. And having so much fun with it. And then I tried to play it, but I'm like you. I'm like, this is I could be playing anything else. And this is not the thing I want to spend my time playing. It's fun. It's fine, but it's just, I didn't enjoy it as much. I remember playing the original on GameCube when it first came out. And that was a lot of fun. Like, I sat down for several weekends and invested a lot of time in that game until I didn't. Then one day it was just like, I don't know, I found some other game or something, and then I just never went back to it. But that was a lot of fun. And then I got New Leaf when I had my 3DS.
Yep.
And I played it for like 5 seconds, and then I just never picked it up again because I was just like, something else got distracted by something else, or whatever the case may be. And anyways, so those Animal Crossing games, I like the idea of them, but I can't get into them.
I had New Leaf, and then we've got this one, and I have the original on GameCube. I don't play it. I have it. Aunt Kathy gave it to me when she was getting rid of some of her stuff. It had to, like, you had to use it. It took up an entire memory card's worth of memory. I remember, like, you had to have a specific memory card for it. Because they were originally going to release that game for the Nintendo 64, but they couldn't get it to fit
fast enough.
To work on. Well, they couldn't get the carts. The 64 carts didn't have the storage space they couldn't fit it on there. So then they just moved it over to they worked on some stuff and improved the graphics and stuff, and just ended up releasing it on
GameCube.
GameCube.
Yeah, it was a very big game on GameCube for sure.
Yeah,
it was a big seller on theirs.
Yeah,
that's funny. Yeah, those GameCube games. It seemed like, because all the games, the little case for the games had a little slot for a memory card, and those memory cards were so tiny. It was definitely like they wanted you to have a memory card for just about every game. I think that was their plan. They even gave you a little spot for it in the game case. They're like, you know what, you're going to need this. Because we're going to require a lot of space. And we're going to give you very little. I think it was like 4 megabytes was one of the memory cards or something ridiculously small.
And then we're going to sell them for like $30 a piece.
It's like a whole other game.
Exactly.
It's Nintendo, man. They're going to figure out how to nickel and dime you for sure.
Yes.
Well,
that's our Video Castle. Video Castle Christmas.
Video Castle Christmas. Yeah. Man, I am so surprised I could not find anything online about this place. It just, it exists in our memories only. I'm like, I was hoping to at least find like the logo or something that I could use. Nothing. I can't even find a mention of it. Like, I've found several threads or posts or whatever, or blog posts where people are talking about like the best video stores from their childhood or whatever in North Missouri. And I'm like, surely it's going to, nope, not on there at all.
Yep.
They'll mention Blockbuster or Family Video, but they won't mention that one. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if you have any memories. If you remember Video Castle, please let us know, because
Let us know.
I want to believe I'm not imagining this.
Yeah. It's
It
just
did
our
happen, right?
imagination. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what do you got for us next week?
So before I get to that, we do have one
One
comment.
Yeah.
It's from our Quick and the Dead episode that we
just
did
released
a few weeks back. And actually, believe it or not, Teddy Roosevelt
He would have been
who's making a comment.
knee high as a
here.
grasshopper back then.
Yeah. Teddy Roosevelt 3119. He said, "Not gonna lie, this wasn't a horrible movie."
Yeah.
No, it was not. I told him, I responded, I said, it was a fun rewatch. Certainly not the best Western that we've ever watched, but it definitely was solid entertainment.
That's right. That's all we're looking for.
Yep.
Yep. Doesn't all need to be, I don't know what you'd say, Shakespeare or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah.
Schindler's List.
Schindler's
or
List.
You know.
I've never seen Schindler's List. You ever seen
let's
Schindler's
hope.
List?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I've never seen it.
It's worth a watch. It's I don't want to say it's good based on what it is about, but it's a good Spielberg movie. It's just be prepared to just be sad the whole time.
To feel some things.
Yeah. But it's well done. It's a well done movie. But
All right.
yeah. Quick and the Dead was fun. It was fun to watch it, to discuss it, and keep those comments coming. We'd love to read them when they come on the air, and so
Please make us regret reading them on the air.
yes, please. So just a hint for next week. Going to give you our cold open question. Give you some time to think about it over the week. So, growing up, what is your most memorable experience of being home by yourself?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Could be a scary experience. It could be, I don't know, whatever. Anything that you like just sticks out in your mind. We're like, oh yeah, I remember this. Maybe it was a crazy party or something. I guess you wouldn't be home by yourself at that time, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could be.
yeah.
We know that's possible.
Yeah.
As we will know next week.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, before we sign off, do you love This Podcast Takes Tokens? Do you want a free sticker? Time is running out. Show your love for the podcast. Be one of the first to grab one of the first 50 to grab an exclusive sticker. Here's how. Listen to the episode anywhere. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, or leave us a comment over on YouTube down below. It's just a nice, good, lengthy-ish comment. Like, I'm just looking for like a sentence at least. Something more than an emoji and a hi. Something we can really, sink our teeth into that we'd like to read out. Anyways, screen capture that. Send us that through an email with your home address to thispodcasttakestokens@gmail.com, and we will send you out a sticker absolutely free. We ask of nothing in return except for your review and your love. Then if you want more than one sticker, you can leave more than one review on multiple episodes or whatever the case may be. Send us those screenshots. Remember, this ends December 31st, 2024. That is really soon. You've got just a week or two to go, I think, at this point. So email those as soon as you get them to get credit. And remember, one sticker per unique review on Apple Podcasts or episode comment. Individual unique episode comment? No. Comment per episode? One per episode on YouTube. Anyways, so get to listening, reviewing, sticker collecting, There are 5 unique sticker designs, and we'll send you out up to 5 of them for free, or just one random one if you leave one comment or review.
Yeah.
Anyways, with that, you want to sign us out?
Yeah, we've reached another checkpoint, and remember, like we were saying, leave us a comment. Sharing is caring. We would greatly appreciate if you like the episode, share it on Facebook, share it with your friends. Share it on Instagram. Wherever.
Hit that share button, copy and paste it.
Yeah.
And just let it go off into the ether. Send it to grandma.
And please, if you do enjoy it, please hit that subscribe button, because that does help us quite a bit.
Yes.
And we would appreciate that. So, we thank you for listening. And until next time, be kind and rewind.
We'll see y'all around.
This podcast takes tokens is a Clay Street production.